Right, so let's get the overview in your mind, and from not just your own opinion, but from listening to people with questions. What would you say are the primary categories? Of course, you cover these in Unanswered, but let's break them down for our listeners.
That's a great question. They cover 6 specific areas. Number 1 is God on mute, the silence of God. What do I do when God seems silent? The second one is the most important cornerstone thing that our faith hinges on, and that's the resurrection of Jesus. And the problem is we only hear about the resurrection once a year or at the odd funeral, and that's not what we see in the New Testament. I mean, every sermon in the book of Acts is focused on the resurrection. So number 2, body of proof, evidence for the resurrection of Jesus. Number 3, I'm always asked, people are surprised by this, about questions relating to paranormal activity. And I talk about how paranormal has become the new normal in society. That's very interesting to discuss, because now we actually have psychic mediums who claim that they're also ordained ministers. So when you go see a medium, you're not just seeing a normal necromancer, you're seeing an ordained necromancer. And so sadly, Christians are sucked into that, and it's a slippery slope. Fourthly, I discuss Bible-ish Christianity. Dr. Brown, as I think you would agree with me, we have the most educated people of all time in our churches, and yet the most biblically illiterate, the most undiscerning church of all time. And so we talk about this area that we're living in now I express as Bible-ish Christianity. We know enough about the Bible to be dangerous. Here's what's fascinating. Section 5 in our book. The number 1 questions I've been asked, Dr. Brown, out of receiving almost 5,000, and people always say, wow, when they hear this. The number 1 question is questions related to suicide and mental illness. And this has been brought into sharper focus, of course, with this epidemic of pastors even completing suicide. This whole notion of invisible illnesses, mental illness within the church. And then, of course, the final subject, number 6, the whole issue of evil, suffering. And of course, that's the number 1 reason people turn away from the faith, is because some experience of personal loss or tragedy. So thanks for letting me give that plug. Those are the subjects we cover in the book.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you do. And again, friends, as I go through the book, Dr. Johnston has solid academic background, but the ability, as you hear right now on the radio, to break these things down in ways that you can understand. So there's depth, but there's clarity.